So we have finally reached episode 24, or episode 11 of Rewrite, Moon, and Terra, and Rewrite as a whole. And I have to say, this episode made me feel a lot of things, both happy, both sad. It made me feel warm inside, and a little broken in some ways, but overall, this concluded everything I wanted it to. It gave me a conclusion, it explained everything it needed to, it didn't make me feel like I need to read the visual novel to understand what has happened. And all this season, I have been told that I would not understand this anime unless I played the visual novel, and granted, sure, there is going to be aspects that are brushed aside, or there's going to be scenes that were cut, but if the core content is explained in the anime, it's done its job. And I think Rewrite has done its job. There's going to be visual novel players who disagree with me, as they always have. However, I feel so fucking concluded right now, and so happy with what I got. This really holds a special place in my heart for me, because it's an anime that has made me so invested like no other. It's not my favorite anime. However, it had the most impact in terms of watching weekly, where I was so interested trying to figure out theories. Now, granted, this season was a lot less theory crafting because it was a much more linear season. It was more straightforward and explained. Like, after you get past the moon content, that's when it gets fairly linear, but that's not a bad thing. This was a fantastic season, and this episode had a lot of content to it. So Kotaro has reached the point of no return. He's essentially rewrote his body to the point that it's not even his blood he's using with his powers, it's actually his life force, as you can see with the sword he manifests to take out Gaia's Earth Dragon there, which I have to say, the Earth Dragon fight with this season compared to what it was in the season 1 there, granted, it was still short, but I thought it was a much more emotional fight just because we knew how far Kotaro was pushing himself to win this fight and how close to death he truly was. So I did really like that fight. I like seeing the conclusion with all the characters building up to that moment, because Kotaro is willing to give his life to give Kaguri these fond memories. He thinks, put an end to Gaia and Guardian, and this will be enough, because Earth is almost on the verge of salvation, but instead of it being salvation, it would just be the Earth would be destroyed. As we know, this is the last chance this Earth has. And watching him push himself, watching him break, losing limbs, and just using his life energy to form almost like a rabbit's foot, and then just to see his arms be these tree branches, to see how broken he was, how much he was crying, to see how everything that he was fighting up for, it ended up being nothing. He didn't come in time. He sees Kaguri, who looks into his mind, sees what the true fond memory she wanted to see was, and he's remembering all the things from the different timelines, all the stuff that we saw with season 1, the stuff that happened on the moon, and that was the true fond memory, to show that there is something of value in this world. But it was too late, because it was already too late. If she stuck around for a bit longer, that would have been something, but Earth was destroyed. And Kotaro, the way he was breaking and crying, saying, I killed so many people, I threw away friendships for this, for you, and it was all for nothing. And the way she explains, the way she comforts him to say, no, it was okay. You didn't fail. You have given humanity a future. This isn't the end. You did something here. For being only one person, you did damn well. And their emotional goodbye and how much they both love one another, I thought was directed beautifully. And when you see Kotaro die and pass away, you question, really, like, what is going to happen? And I thought how they explained how humanity was going to survive in this timeline was really intelligent, and I didn't see coming, to be honest. Because all along it was, okay, these fond memories, what truly are they? What are the purpose? Well, if we show the future of humanity, what can humans truly be? Granted, if Kaguri would have seen those fond memories that Kotaro brought to her before everything kicked in, it could have protected Earth and she could have lived, or at least this version of Kaguri. But in doing so, he created something else. He gave humanity a path. And in doing so, because we see, I think her name was Jasmine, the little girl from the orphanage who Kotaro ties with earlier on as he was talking to her through emails and whatnot, she sends some sort of message to a mass amount of people, which, I mean, based on how the imagery was used, I assume it's people with powers. I would assume, because there's a scene where you see, like, the scientists and you can see familiars and, like, all these other beasts here. But the way it was all directed, it seems like she sent some sort of message out to people who probably have abilities similar to her own or similar to Kotaro, someone that either Gaia or Guardian would have recruited. And it seems like this entire thing was to get humanity on a path to start working together, take the most powerful, like, summoners and just the power users, and to push humanity past just where we are in a technical age. Because you can see what ends up happening at the very end is the 5 girls that we know and love, they essentially make a familiar of Kotaro. The way he was designed, I thought, you know, just the long hair, I was like, I wonder what they're gonna pull here, because he seems so different. But he says, yeah, no, I'm not just gonna be this butler. I have better things to do with my life. And to show what he says, because he says, if you 5 give me your power here, I can get you up there. And he points towards the moon. And he says, if I have like 10,000 of you, I think it was 10,000, Jasmine, then we can go to other planets. We can travel the stars. So when you see them travel up to the moon to meet Moon Kaguri, to see him transform back into the normal Kotaro we saw within season 1, to see how he fulfills Moon Kaguri's promise that they both have to one another, to see one another again, that she will not be this lonely girl anymore, trapped on the moon, isolated alone, that it was concluded, despite this Kotaro and the Kaguri of that Earth being killed, a new one was born, and they all can have their bright future, and humanity has been working together. You see all these familiar, like there was an old man summoning a tree, he fell over, so his familiar fell over, but you see the humanity advancing so far that they were working together, so it seems that even though this Earth is probably very close to extinction, we did see like some sort of barrier, which seems like that's probably what's keeping Earth alive, but it seems like they don't need Earth, that Kotaro, because of what he did and because of Jasmine's, message that she sent to people, that's going to push humanity past just Earth. It's not really Earth needing to survive. Earth needs to be able to move on to a better planet or something like that, or just be able to move, because even Jasmine says, I hope my family has found a better planet. It's something like that. I'll have the image on screen here as well, just so you can see the exact dialogue. So it seems like that was the entire point, I would say. Granted, I could be missing some things because, yes, I didn't play the visual novel, but at the core, that does make sense, and that does explain why everything was like this. There was a lot of ways they could take this series with the whole concept of fond memories and the multiple timelines, but I think it was just so interesting that they went this route. And it was so interesting. It made me feel so sad, it made me feel so warm, it made me feel so happy that I got to experience something exactly like this. I know there's going to be the naysayers, probably either A, with the anime originals who either didn't pay that close attention throughout the season, who might be confused, or the visual novel players who didn't either see scenes that they really wanted adapted, or B, they felt like it was rushed. But as an anime only who has not read the visual novel, who has no knowledge of the source material, I feel concluded. I feel like I got a complete story that was unique and interesting, and took what many thought was going to be a typical harem, and not only told a great love story by the end, but told an really interesting use of just time manipulation and timelines, and just, it did some really amazing things with the story structure. It had its animation issues, but something season 2 did that I was hoping season 1 would have done is they used the OST to its full potential. Season 1 had a very severe lack of good OST instrumentals and just tracks used. This episode as a whole, it used some great tracks to really just make the scenes more emotional than if they would have just been dialogue, especially when you see Kotaro crying and you hear the instrumentals backing that. The overall episode, I'm just so happy with. It wasn't the best visually looking, but goddamn was it emotional and got the message across. I just think how they handled these fond memories, how despite Kotaro not getting there exactly in time, despite Earth seeming still like it's probably going to end in its own way, that humanity can push on and do their own thing with different planets, as we see that they've already done that with just 5 girls going to the moon. It's interesting, and it gives you this hope, this sense of adventure and wonder that humanity can prosper. And I just thought it was a good message overall. But I'd be really interested to hear, what did everyone think of this episode of Rewrite? I'm expecting a lot are going to say it's either rush, and there might even be some people who may be a bit confused, but hopefully what I said at least cleared some things up. But I'd be really interested to hear what everyone has to say, but I am really excited for one particular thing. No more comments of people saying I won't understand this anime at all, and I will be completely lost if I have not played the visual novel, because I've been getting those either in direct messages or on Twitter for the past literally 3 months here, so I'm excited for those to end. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and before you leave, hit that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care, and have a good one.